أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. This verse comes after the verses where Allah mentions Ramadan in Surah Al-Baqarah, and Allah talks about Ramadan after as well, but this verse is specifically related to Ramadan and the topic of today's dars, the existence of God. It's intertwined with that as well. Allah says, "And when my servants ask thee, O Prophet, about me, tell them that I am near, and I answer the prayers of the supplicant when he prays to me. So they should listen to me and they should believe in me so that they may follow the right way." Now, the existence of God, this topic is hugely discussed in modern times. There's all sorts of debates on YouTube, discussions, philosophical arguments from both sides, those who believe in God and those who don't, atheists. And there's these intellectual arguments, of course, are good for the existence of God. They have their place. But Islam isn't just about the intellectual arguments and the proofs. Rather, Islam advocates for an active understanding or experience for the existence of God. It's not a passive existence of God. Lots of people, they believe the universe exists. They have a belief in the existence of the sun and the moon and other planets. But this is just a belief. It doesn't affect them in any way. It doesn't instigate change within them. So maybe having a belief that God exists is essentially of no benefit. There has to be an active participation within that existence. There has to be communion within that belief as well. And that's what Islam teaches. Islam takes a person from knowing that, there could be a God, to the belief that there is a God. When you put your hand in the fire and this is fire, not just observing the smoke from far away. And this is what the promised Messiah ﷺ said that he had come to establish. He said, "I've come to re-establish the connection between humans and God, the lost connection. I want to take man back to God and help me experience Allah." So when we talk about the existence of God, this is so crucial that we have personal experience, because no argument, no philosophy will be able to waver us from that personal experience. And this type of existence is the existence that Islam says everyone should try to reach. Now, the companions of the promised Messiah, ﷺ, there's so many stories about how they experience Allah through dreams, through visions, through experiences. And lots of examples today as well. In fact, the Review of Religions, they've started an existence project where they're documenting lots of experiences of Ahmadis in modern times as well, and how they experienced for themselves that Allah exists. And when you read these, you kind of understand why certain people have a very, very firm belief in Allah. And this kind of firm belief in Allah is something which we should all strive for. And at the end of the dars, I'm going to talk about a very important factor which we have to keep in mind for achieving this understanding and experience for the existence of God. Now, I just want to narrate some stories where people have really experienced that Allah exists, and also take some lessons from those stories. Now, one is of Hazrat Ghulam Rasul Sahib. He was a companion of the promised Messiah. He accepted the promised Messiah. And he worked as a normal worker in a courtroom. He just used to give the papers to the judge, standard job, nothing of high prominence within the courtroom. And the judge of that court was a British Christian man, and this was obviously during the colonial era. And this judge, he hated the promised Messiah والسلام, and he was annoyed that the Ghulam Rasul Sahib, who worked in his court, accepted the promised Messiah as the Messiah. Ghulam Rasul Sahib Raziyallahu Anhu, he says that once he became really angry with me and he started hurling all sorts of abuses to the promised Messiah. And he said to me that, you're a nobody. I can get you expelled from this court in an instance. And he started abusing the promised Messiah against the promised Messiah, so on and so forth. Ghulam Rasul Sahib said that I just listened, I didn't respond. And that night at 2, 3 a.m., I prayed to Allah. And I said to Allah, what was my fault of being ashamed in this manner publicly? All I have done is I've accepted your Messiah. And he said to Allah, please have this judge transferred to another court. He said that I was in prostration in sajda when I heard a voice. Ghulam Rasul, you don't read Tahajjud. And he said, at this, I responded while I was in prostration. He said it in Punjabi, he said that if you listen to me, I'll listen to you. So he made a deal with Allah that have this judge transferred and I'll start doing Tahajjud. And he said actually that very night I did Tahajjud then, which are prayers before Fajr time, voluntary prayers, all the way until Fajr. He said the next day I went and I saw that the judge wasn't there. The day after, he still wasn't there. For a few days, he didn't come, and I was surprised, and I asked someone, and they said that he's fell ill right now. Ghulam Rasul Sahib says that I returned, and I prayed again to Allah, and I said to Allah, he's going to return, he's going to get better, and he's going to come back. Please transfer him somewhere else. He then narrates that it so happened that the judge actually had to return back to England due to the illness. And not only that, but he actually went on to die. And Ghulam Rasul Sahib said that I said to Allah, I didn't say to have him to die, but I just wanted him to be transferred. But this shows how powerfully these people experienced Allah, and such an experience will embed the existence of God like no other argument. But a very important lesson is to be remembered here. Ghulam Rasul Sahib said, since that day, it's been 30 years, and I never let go of the deal I made with Allah, and I've been doing Tahajjud prayers since that time. Another example is of an Ahmadi Muslim convert. She's a Lajna member. Her name is Maria Isabel Cerna, if I'm saying that right. And she said I wasn't, interested in God and religion and so on and so forth, but she accepted Islam, Ahmadiyyat, and she's Spanish. She said in 2013 there was an economic crisis which hit lots of European countries, and this incident, by the way, is on the Review of Religion's website. And she said that my dad lost his job. He did receive a large payment from the company after being made redundant, but he still needed to work and wanted to work. So the whole family really tried finding him a job. They couldn't find him a job. Months and months passed by. And she said that I remember helping him apply for jobs, but also I said that the best way I could help him is by praying to Allah. And she said I prayed for him over several days, and I knew I had to be patient. And those who were patient and put their trust in Allah, their prayers are accepted. She said that some weeks passed when suddenly my dad, he was called for an interview. And when he went to the manager's office, the manager said to him that he pointed towards a pile of applications on his desk. And he said that all I've done is I've chosen one at random, and that was you. And he gave him the job. Now, Maria Sahiba says that for an outsider, this is nothing miraculous. But she said that we knew that my father and the rest of my family and I were convinced that this was not a chance. And this had to be, and that God had intervened to help us. And this was a proof for the existence of God for her and her family. I remember another khadim, he just graduated and he was applying for jobs. Months had passed, he wasn't finding any job, and the days of Jalsa were arriving. And of course, as we do, we go to Hadiq al-Mahdi, help out in the Vakarim, wherever your duties are, so on and so forth. And he was in the electrical department. So he said that one day, I had applied for jobs, nothing had come through. Anyways, I was helping for the preparations of Jalsa. And I was in Hadiq al-Mahdi and I received a phone call. And it was a company who said that they wanted to do the interview there and then. And this khadim said that, I'm busy right now. So he was giving preference to the work at Jalsa. He's like, I'm busy right now, can we reschedule this? And he said, I'm volunteering at an event, so on and so forth. And he explained to them what Jalsa was. And in fact, they wanted to know what Jalsa was. They asked, where are you volunteering? What are you working at? And basically, the work he was doing at Jalsa coincided with the work which they wanted him to do as well. And they were very impressed with his efforts for volunteering at this massive event, and they gave him the job there and then. And the point here is that he was giving precedence to Jamaat work, and he wanted to delay the interview, but Allah gave him that job, and mashallah, he's still doing very well. So these kind of experiences, this is where we need to get to. But how do we get there? That's the question. Allah gives the answer. Allah says in the Holy Quran, when you read the Holy Quran, it's the month of Ramadan, or reading the Holy Quran, Allah says that amanu, that they believed, but it didn't stop there. They believed in the existence of God. They believed in Islam, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and they did good works too. So belief and doing good works, praying, giving zakat, giving chanda, helping out Jamaat events, being a good person, showing high morals, all these things, they have to be with our belief in the existence of God. And when we push these further, that's when we begin to experience God ourselves, our prayers being accepted. We can't just think that, we're living a mediocre life where we're not even fulfilling the objectives, the basics of Islam, the 5 daily prayers on time, reading the Holy Quran, giving the zakat of our actual income, so on and so forth, the assets which we have on zakat, so on and so forth, then we can't expect to Allah to suddenly, reveal himself to us or accept our prayers. It doesn't work like that. It's amanu, they believed, wa'amilu salihat, and they did good works. By these good works, as you see both in all three stories, there was an effort from the person towards Allah. And then Allah came back and showed his existence to them. So that's the kind of connection which we have to strive for. The promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam said that belief, it's pointless without action. And actions are pointless without sincerity. I.e., whatever we do, whether we're reading namaz, giving chanda, helping someone out, whatever it is, it has to be sincerely for the love of Allah and only for Allah, for no one else, not showing anyone else, just for Allah. And when we start traversing the path of acting and doing, going beyond just the basics, for example, the 5 daily prayers, doing nawafil, extra prayers, giving extra money to the poor, so on and so forth, giving more time to the Jamaat where we can, that's when the changes start to come as well, where Allah says that I become that person's feet with which he walks with, his hands with which he holds, his mouth with which he talks with, so on and so forth. And that's when the existence of God really, really becomes concrete. So may Allah enable all of us, especially in this Ramadan, to achieve this level where we really have experienced Allah ourselves and continue to do so. Jazakallah.